That sounded. Oh.
No black cats, just straight facts.
Triple P certified.
Listen, we can talk about odds all day. It doesn't matter what the odds are. It matters what's gonna happen.
Welcome to a multi-layered, very special episode of the Perfect Parlay Pursuit. We are celebrating one of the most prestigious accomplishments, one of the greatest triumphs in our world, a perfect parlay. Give it up for the EuroUnderKing with his perfect parlay. Give it up for everybody. Dan, clap your hands.
I actually don't think it was a perfect parlay. We'll get into it later.
Dan, we do not
Continue with the intro. Continue with the intro.
So whatever kind of devil's advocate wet blanket that was, don't know. He was late to the show, everybody, and he wasn't even here for the Golden Club last week. Throw tomatoes at Dan, throw praise at Alex, because he not only hit a perfect parlay, not only came on the Fine Tooth Comb Club episode yesterday, gave all his updated, or not yesterday, last episode, gave all his updated picks right before the show, after the weigh-ins. Then he posted them to the open bet sheet. I posted them to the open bet sheet. Alex posted them. Then he fell asleep and woke up to a perfect parlay after a day of snowboarding. What a day. And did it all on a $5 free bet. I can't believe it. 0 out. Over almost $2,000 back on a card with just two underdogs that triumphed. Steve Garcia and one Talita Allen car, a Triple B certified pick. We also went 4 out of 4 Triple B certified. 100% Triple B certified picks. 11 out of 11 if you tailed Alex. I went 8 out of 11. Dan, I think, went... Dan went 8 out of 11. I went 7 out of 11. But Alex, 11 out of 11. Congratulations on joining the club. We now all three have hit a perfect parlay. 3 titles, 3 championships, 3 achievements. Congratulations. This show is now the perfect play achievement, not the pursuit anymore.
Make a wish, baby. 11 out of 11. I am here. And, you know, you guys with your shotgun method, machine gun method, whatever you want to call it, taking a bunch of shots. I tell you every week, I don't aim and I don't spray and pray. I aim and fire, baby. I put it in my crosshairs and I take the damn shot. $5 free bet, almost $2,000. Let's go, baby. 1 bet all night. The only other bet I made was in the Comb Club Patreon sheet, and it was just a hedge on the last fight of the night, just to make sure I came out with some money. Had a rough week the week before. I'm just happy to come out with all of my money back and then some. Let's go, boys.
See, that's where my qualms come from. It's the hedge, right? The hedge. Is it really a perfect parlay? Did you throw a perfect game or did you throw a no-hitter? I'm leaning more towards the no-hitter here because not only did you hedge, but you hedged for a profit. It wasn't just a break-even hedge, like, hey, bare bones, because that's what the bylaws state, okay? Once you're hedging from profit, no longer really a perfect parlay. It's not so perfect.
Let me defend you.
You put 100 bets out every week, you schmuck. What do you call that? What do you call that? Oh, I got Khalil Roundtree here. I got Anthony Smith here. You do your little sprinkles. By the end of the night, you don't even know which fighter you have in your parlays. You don't know which one's alive. You don't know which one's dead. You have every single fighter every way to Tuesday. Fuck that. I take 1 shot. That's all I need. 1 shot, 1 kill. Call me Chris fucking Kyle. Let's go.
And here's why you're wrong, Dan, because not only did Alex come on the Fine Tooth Comb Club last week where we give our updated picks, we updated everybody on the Suma Derji Tim Elliott fight. We updated everybody on every single fight that fell out between the YouTube episode and the week of the fight. We even came in after the weigh-ins and gave everybody the after the weigh-ins philosophy. Alex was doing the show from the car, driving home from a birthday dinner with his own mother, 2.5-hour drive. He's driving through mountains to the Poconos. His service is cutting in and out, but he gave all of his updated picks to the audience in the Patreon, then posted it to the open bet sheet. They were all his picks. They were his official picks, the picks that go on the record books for the show, and he did not cash out. So for all those reasons, if you have,
you can't cash out on free bets.
If you have the bet slip that is, if you have the bet slip that is every fight that happened that night, and they're all green, and you won the money, that's a perfect parlay. Now, what I will say is, if that is the only criteria, I should have 2 perfect parlays because the one time this year Cody Safdie hit a perfect parlay, I freakishly decided to tail him that night, and I won a perfect parlay that night too. But since they weren't my picks that I gave on the show, since they weren't my picks for the official record book, I didn't count that as my 2-time perfect parlay. So my 1-time perfect parlay, the one where I came on the show, gave all the picks on the show, and then at that point we didn't even have an open bet sheet, I don't think, but I gave all the picks on the show. It was the 6th ever episode, and hit the perfect parlay, had the ticket to prove it. So if he had cashed out and it said cashed out, I would look at that as a stain, and I would say that's in term. I would actually say that's not a perfect parlay if you cash out, because you're cashing out. You're not letting it go to that last fight. You're not betting on that last fight. So,
and you know what? Alex is not a cheetah. He's a weasel. If it wasn't a free bet, he would have cashed out. He would have cashed out. I know it.
Well, Dan, your perfect parlay, I need to go back and check the archives, because this was around year 2. You hit the perfect parlay, 11-fight parlay, just like Alex. But I would almost weigh Alex's more, because I believe that you hit an 11-fight parlay and all your picks were correct. But I think the parlay that you hit, you left one of the fights off on that parlay.
No, revisionist history. Revisionist history. What is this?
I remember calling yours kind of like an intern parlay or something like that at the time. But we'll go back and check the tapes. We'll bring it to the next show.
Yeah, check the tape for me. Do a little
meantime, I saw most of the fights, but I was at a party. I did a holiday party. I didn't really see. I wasn't locked in for every single one, right? So I just want to say this: the first fight of the night, I did have on, and I was not really watching. So it was Talita Alencar versus Dos Santos, or whatever her name is, Raynon Amanda. So I'm watching the fight, right? And I explained to the people who I'm playing darts, having beers, and people want to know, hey, who do you got in this fight? So I try to use that as an opportunity, an education moment. So I say, well, I have Talita Alencar, and as you can see, this is a typical ladies fight where they're both punching air and going hi-ya at each other, and no one's really making any connections. Pretty much anybody's fight. I picked Talita Alencar; she's a slight underdog. But then all of a sudden, round 2 starts, and you see live odds -900 Dos Santos plus something Alencar, right? And I say to everybody, I go, now, guys, we all watched that first round. Do you really think this girl is winning that much? And they were like, no. And I'm like, exactly. I'm like, we should all just bet the other girl right now, just because of how schizophrenic the market is when it comes to reacting to like minors. I'm like, first of all, if the other girl did win that first round, she might be tired. There's still 2 rounds to go. It's like a lot can happen. So inevitably, by split decision, Alencar did win. I don't really know if that was controversial or not. I mean, I didn't lock in and watch the fight, but what I said was true. I said, hey, guys, I don't like the right now. I'm just telling you, I think the public's generally wrong and they're overreactive. So I would go the other way now and think my bet with Alencar is safe. And she was.
I missed the first round, but the second round was definitely Alencar's. Third round was a little up in the air. Based on what the judges were saying, I thought I had lost right away.
And that was one of 4 Trilby certified picks we took. Tetsuya Tiara, Luana Santos, and Kevin Jussiet. Kevin Jussiet looked like he beat the shit out of Kenan Song. And what was cool about Tiara is that I sprinkled Tiara by submission in a couple parlays. Then I went, you know what? He could just as easily get a knockout, because if he's on top pounding him, the ref might stop it. And he almost did in that first round. And then I thought that was going to happen in the second round. Didn't even need it to happen. He knocked him out in the feet. So Tiara is the truth, man. I really think he could be the first ever UFC Japanese champion. I mean, I think he fights at a proper weight class for his body type. I think he's like maybe one of the most elite athletes at that weight class for his body type, because like the way he moves and the way he's built, the strength he has, the ability he has to take backs and hold them. And then to show you that he's got, dynamic movement on the feet to be able to get knockouts while he's keeping them so worried about the takedown. I mean, Tiara is here to stay. I like Tiara.
Yeah, this new wrinkle in this game that you brought up with the striking is pretty awesome. I mean, he's always been very well balanced, but now it's like he's really taking it to the next level with the striking and really doing damage now instead of setting it up for the takedowns, the eventual back take. So if you don't know, now you know with Tyra as far as, that flyweight division, he's coming up for sure. And that division always needs new talent. So good things coming.
He's super young, super talented. And I saw on the broadcast that he averages being like a -900 favorite in every fight. Like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah. You got to be able to take him by finish, I guess, if you want to get any value on it. And it's tough to really predict how he's going to get it done now, because his opponents know about the grappling. They're obviously going to be prepared for it. That's where they're spending their whole camp. So, yeah, if they can defend a rear naked choke for 4 minutes, because it takes them a minute to get him to the ground, and then 4 minutes of him with them on the back, they're going to be able to probably defend for 4 minutes, stall out. It's hard to get a rear naked choke with the gloves. So you got to look for him to win by knockout in some of these situations, and the odds will be pretty huge. All right, so also, Alex and I remarked on Steph Egger's new hairstyle. Anytime you see an older female fighter dye their hair, you got to fade them. She's clearly going through some sort of midlife crisis, so we dodged that. She got her ass. Hold on.
Okay, hope everything is going with that. We'll continue the show and hope everything is okay with Luke. Santos was the eventual winner here. Wasn't all that impressed by her either. I think that we'll have a nice little fade opportunity in her next fight. She seemed to have some very labored striking that you could see from a mile away, and only Steph Vegar would not be able to avoid. So, I'm not really Santos. Everything good.
Yeah, it sounded like the Trojans were at my fucking door with their horse, dude. It was like my fucking washing machine just decided to shake like it never had before. I don't know. I thought it was about to explode, dude. It was crazy, but it settled down, I guess. Anyway, I'm surprised you couldn't hear that. StreamYard blocks out the external noise, I guess, pretty well. So, so she lost, got her ass beat. And one thing I want to say, with Alex falling asleep during most of this card, I can't really ask him too many questions about how it felt, as he's watching his picks win. He said
Steve Garcia was amazing.
You saw that fight.
It was an amazing feeling. He was getting his ass kicked the whole first round, on his back 90% of the fight, and then just knocks the dog shit out of Costa in the second round. It was magnificent. Nothing felt better than that. I was like, shit, we might be on to something here tonight, boys. That is the first time I had thought that, but, $5 free bet. You never really expect your perfect parlay to hit 11 fights to be correct. It's very, very hard. Longest one in perfect parlay history.
Wasn't even the standard $10 on a perfect parlay. Oh my god!
I was retired. It
was a $5 bet. Oh my god!
I was retired, Dan. I was retired. I lost. And listen, you motherfucker. Now my girlfriend's actually home. So if you make me say the amount of money out loud, I'll go crazy. I lost a decent amount of money on that fight the weekend before. So shut the fuck up.
I'm happy for you. But do you get to go in the Hall of Fame of Perfect Parlay? Yes. Certainly not a first ballot.
I'm the only one.
It's us against Dan. It's us against the bookies. It's
Dan.
our show against the world. And
I'm happy for him. I'm happy.
And on top of that, Dan, I think
sacred, Alex. Some things are sacred. I'm glad you won the money and you're out of the financial hole. But now we're talking about something that's way more important than money. All right, we're talking about tradition. We're talking about honor. Okay.
How can you be romantic about sports betting?
You're kind of like calling his baby ugly. Is what you're doing right now.
that is messed up. But
everyone knows if Alex had a kid, it would not be ugly.
I'm waiting for Luke to check the tapes. He says that you either left somebody off, or
we'll go back,
or you won 11 fights that you didn't give out, or you won 11 fights that you didn't give out, and no one you're sure.
It was Curtis Blades versus Alexander Volkov. That was your perfect parlay, right?
Not Volkov. What's his face? Guy with the freakishly long arms with the Ezekiel chokes.
Oh,
Russian guy.
Olenek. Are you sure?
Positive.
Okay.
But anyway, a little birdie told me that either you left a fight off of your perfect parlay, or your God-ridden shotgun method of just putting every single possible outcome that could possibly happen, like you're fucking Doctor Strange. You managed to wildly get one of those correct. I gave out all these picks. I made a switch. I made 2 switches. I had Sumaderji. I had Anthony Smith. Guess what? Big brain. I said, Khalil Roundtree throws the hardest leg kicks in the fucking world, and Anthony Smith has weak-ass knees. Anthony Smith. Oh, but Luke, how funny was that meme I sent you of them facing off, and somebody says, wow, you can really see the animosity between these two. Khalil Roundtree hates his family.
Because of the things Khalil said about his family. Yeah, I mean, that was, I didn't win any money that night, but it was definitely satisfying to see Anthony Smith do the chicken dance. I just wish that Terry Hadley was the ref in that fight, and Khalil could get that last one off, you know what I mean? But because for a second, I was like, that was a dive. I was like, I was going to come on the show and say, how long was Anthony rehearsing that little dance maneuver, that little choreography of let me get myself out of here? And why did he wait 3 rounds to do it?
He looked like Kai Cenat out there the way he was dancing.
He should have did that in the first round. I would have been practicing. Okay, as soon as he touches me, I'm gonna go. Can't make it look obvious. I'm gonna go Johnny Walker route. I'm gonna make it look weird. You know, I'm gonna I'm gonna go. Who's the other guy who did the chicken dance?
Kevin Lee.
Kevin Lee.
Kevin Lee, all timer.
And also Johnny Walker, Kevin Lee, and there was another guy recently, Shane Burgos. Yeah. Those weird.
Which, that was the weirdest one. Like, he got hit, and then he was like, fine, and then he was like, like, it looked like he had vertigo or something.
It was like in a video game when your character like starts like it's like you lock and then it just like starts moving backwards or whatever. Yeah. But anyway, so point is that did put lead in my pencil. Congratulations, Alex. It was a fantastic perfect parlay to be able to win it in your sleep, to be able to win it on a free bet. These are all feathers in the cap, in my opinion, not disqualifying factors, as Dan might say. But anyway, guys, the bet was placed in the open bet sheet. The picks were placed in the open bet sheet. That's accessible in the Patreon. So just get over there and support the show. We need you in there for the full year. If you recently canceled only to fall short of tailing Alex on his one and done snipe shot perfect parlay, it's okay. Get back in there because that's the goal every week. And it just reinvigorated me. Seeing Alex do that only refilled my cup as to belief this is possible. So I'm going after it for this week with Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards. We're going to talk about that in the Fine Tooth Comb Club. But for now, we have a very long break. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. If you haven't looked ahead in the calendar yet, I'm gonna have you sit down and I'm gonna remove a layer for this part of the show. As I mentioned, it's a multi-layered show, so I'm gonna remove layers as we go, just so that you can kind of track alongside where we're
the temperature.
So we're done now with the first layer of the show, which is congratulating Alex and recapping UFC Vegas 70 whatever. Now it's the second part of the show where we do a little housekeeping before the breakdown of the next upcoming card besides the one this weekend. So, if you're new to the show, we do our predictions early. So, for example, we already broke down UFC 296 last week. That video, top to bottom, is there, main card and prelims. You can hear Dan, Alex, and I give our full predictions, picks, and breakdowns on every one of those fights. This week, we take all that we've thought about in the meantime, all the picks that have changed and fights that have fallen out and gotten restructured. We take that into consideration, do another breakdown on the Patreon. Patreon.com/PerPlayPursuit. That's where we break it down again with a fine-tooth comb. So I call it the Fine-Tooth Comb Club. So we'll be doing that right after this episode. But now, traditionally, on the YouTube, we would break down the fight that's going to be after this weekend's fight. Well, that is not going to be until January 13th. After this weekend, we have a 3-week break. The way the calendar falls, we have, next Monday, we're going to break down the card that's on January 20th, which is Strickland versus Duplessis. This Monday, we're going to break down the card on the 13th, which is Ankalaev versus Walker. And then, so we'll have this weekend, Ankalaev versus Walker. Next weekend, Strickland versus Duplessis. We'll have all of our picks for the 2 fights that are the first 2 in January locked in there for you. The following Monday is Christmas. The following Monday is New Year's Day. We record on Mondays, so we are taking Christmas and New Year's Day off. There will be a 2-week hiatus of the show. We'll be back on January 8th for the Fine Tooth Comb Club episode.
I have a recommendation.
Hold on. The revision of this one. We'll do a revision of this card that we're breaking down now on January 8th. And then it'll be back to normal. We'll be back to normal. But that week when we do the Comb Club, instead of breaking down, the next week when we do the Comb Club for Strickland versus Duplessis, instead of breaking that down for the 3rd time, we'll throw in playoff football picks. So that's what we're going to do. And we're also going to have an award show, as we do at the end of every year, for Fighter of the Year, Fights of the Year, things like that.
Commenter of the Year.
So we'll take a little break at the end of December. We'll be back January 8th to do a recap of last year, to do a breakdown of playoff football, to do a re-breakdown of all the cards. But you're going to have more content, not less, from our channel. We're just getting it all in early for you. Watch it at your leisure. DM me in the Patreon, DM me in the Discord. We'll stay active throughout the holidays. We'll talk football. There's some one championship cards, some boxing things. We'll do what we can to get through the break. But mostly, I'm just going to let the information settle and come back strong in January, betting hard on the UFC. But we have one last opportunity, and that's this weekend. We'll get to that in the Comb Club after this breakdown. But let's just take a little look ahead at some action that no one's paying attention to yet. See if we can get ahead on some.
Can I make one recommendation first on one of those off weeks?
Yeah, go ahead.
I say we make a new channel. It's called Evil Beast, and instead of giving people stuff, we instead of giving someone a house, we burn down their house if they lose the challenge. Instead of giving them $10,000, we take $10,000 for them if they lose the challenge. You get what I'm saying? Like Mr. Beast,
Who
but
would,
evil.
who would join this? Who would join this?
Idiots.
It sounds like what the sports books do to us every week. They propose a challenge and they take our money when we fail.
Your kid's college tuition gone.
You want
Mine
to
now.
be the book. Yes, trust me. The 10-year goal has always been to have our own sports book. I mean, that is always been the 10-year plan.
Which brings us up to the contest.
What's the contest?
We're going to have a contest. Everybody puts money in and then it makes picks.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm hoping there's one man we need to call if we're going to do a contest. And he's still in the back cave. He's still waiting, in the wing. It's still, we how it is. So if you know, we'll get into it next week. But for now, we got to get into this card. It's 14 fights, and there's odds for every single one of them on Best Fight Odds. So without further ado, let's go bottom to top this week because the fight opener. I was looking at the wrong list. Let's go top to bottom. Rematch: Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. Everybody, second time these guys are fighting. Magomed Ankalaev, man, this guy can't seem to get it right. Like he's always either being scheduled to fight Ian Cutelaba 17 times, or he's going to a draw, or he's going to a no contest. Or he's
getting tapped out in the last second of a fight. Yeah.
I mean, the only time this guy's ever gone in there and done what he was supposed to do is when he fought Anthony Smith and he went in there and knocked him out a year ago. Other than that, every single fight that he's ever had, there's been some sort of bullshit going on.
And Walker, speaking of which, how about Khalil Roundtree calling for Alex Vieira after that fight? He's like, the fans are saying that would be the most exciting fight possible. He's like, I don't know what the fans are thinking, but I see comments, I see this, I see that. It's like, Khalil, take it easy, okay? Yes, anybody commenting on your page is like, fight Alex Vieira.
With Khalil Roundtree's pedigree and resume, why is it more unrealistic to say he should fight Alex Vieira than it was to say Alex Vieira should fight after a split decision win against Jan, he should fight for the title. And then after 2 fights at middleweight, he should fight Israel for the title. I mean, he would be no more fast-tracked than Alex Vieira was. So I don't really see a problem with it. And, I think, he needs one more fight in the main event probably. I think the fight with Anthony Smith in the co-main definitely gets him to that next spot where he could probably take on, maybe ask for the loser of this fight we're about to break down, Ankalaev versus Walker, too.
Khalil talking about being on billboards. His first mistake was getting matched up with Anthony Smith because they'll never put that mug on a billboard ever. Okay?
I don't know. They throw him at every desk job, and they have him on all sorts of podcasts, and he doesn't not get work, even though he's got a face for radio. I mean, he looks like one of the X-Men, and not in a good way. All right, so Magomed Ankalaev, like I said, just a silly goose. Taking on another silly goose, Johnny Walker. Whose goose is going to be cooked is really what it comes down to. And to me, this fight, I sent you this clip, Alex, where it was like, man was inches away from death. And my washing machine's doing it again. It's fucking terrifying.
It sounds like your washing machine is inches from death.
I think she either overloaded it or underloaded it, or I don't know. Maybe she put bowling balls in there or some shit. I don't fucking know. But point is, I saw the video where Ankalaev hits Walker to the body. Walker plays possum and then jumps up with a flying knee and almost just hits him right under that sharp nose he's got. Right here, just sniffs his knee, but really almost took him out. So I picked Johnny Walker last time. I think I don't know if I picked him last time. I really don't know. I forget, but I'm going to go with him this time. I think I picked Ankalaev last time, but this time I think I'm going to go with Johnny Walker. If I look at the line, it appears to have widened since the first fight, with Johnny Walker now being a plus 320 underdog. To be honest with you, I just think they're both Johnny Walker is chaotic enough to circle Ankalaev square to square Ankalaev circle. He's not going to fight the fight Ankalaev wants him to fight, and I think for that reason will be dangerous for all 5 rounds. I love that this fight's 5 rounds. Give me Johnny Walker at plus 320 odds. Crazy.
I took Johnny Walker the first time this fight happened. He got robbed. It's not your job to know where you are, okay? It's no one's job except for, fucking cartographers. They're the only people who need to know where they are at all times. Not Johnny Walker. I'm going with Johnny Walker again, but since this is the last fight of the card, my official pick is going to be Johnny Walker, and all of my parlays, they will end with Ankalaev. Every single one of my parlays is going to end with Ankalaev, but the official pick is Johnny Walker. He's going to get it done.
So you're hedging again. Okay, that's good to hear. We're going with Magomed Ankalaev on my end. I will not hedge when I get to this opportunity. Yeah, I feel like Johnny Walker is fighting too poised now. Like there's been an overcorrection almost. So the flying knee was nice. He almost hit it, but he didn't. He was losing that fight. And over the course of 5 rounds, the wrestling, I feel, will get to Walker, and it will be a boring Ankalaev victory.
All right. So 1 for Ankalaev, 2 for Walker. I feel like I'm more, I'm more so just looking at it like Johnny Walker's got 5 rounds to get it done. He's got steam coming out of his ears. I like it. So Mateus Nicolau, 19-3, taking on Starboy, Based God, Manel Kape.
You and your team, Earl.
You point with your cartoon pornography addiction. Manel Kape is so sick, man. I mean, you got to think Eugene Behrman, MMA Guru covered this on his channel, but Eugene Behrman, right? Like coming out and saying that like Duplessis needs to fight Israel right away, and if you're gonna be a champ, you gotta step up and take the fights, And then fucking
sound like fucking Sean Connery.
well, sometimes your fighter needs a little slap. Get him in. So, Eugene Behrman, he was saying that Duplessis got to get in there. He's trying to be manipulative in the media, and then he hit both of his fighters. Kai Kara France pulls out, and then does exactly what I shamed Justin Gaethje for doing. You call in sick to work, and then you show up. That's like showing up to the restaurant you work at to eat dinner when you fucking called out sick and they're understaffed. Like, you sit there with a concussion in the worst place you could be with a concussion. I mean, Alex, you had a concussion. The doctor told you shouldn't even look at the light from your phone charger. And he's at a fucking UFC event with all those lights and sounds, and it's like if you can be there, then you should fight. If you're so concussed that you can't fight, then you should.
But I think the book still hasn't been written on concussions. They also said I can't play Skyrim. I played Skyrim every day.
Yeah, but they were saying in a best case scenario, you're in a dark room, recovering, letting your brain heal without any stimulus. So, regardless, I'm going with fucking Manel Kape emphatically, just because he's one of my favorite fighters at this point. I think this is a tough fight. I think that obviously Nicolau is fucking good, but if Royval can put hands on him, Starboy is gonna do the same. The only thing is, I think a lot of people will take Manel Kape by knockout, but as we've seen in his last fight, some guys are tough as shit and they're happy to take a beating, and Manel Kape is happy to like set up the finish, and sometimes that leads to a decision, right? Like if he's looking for it, he has explosive moments in the rounds, he's winning them emphatically, but the other guy's not going down. And Manel Kape is a highlight guy. He's Mr. Highlight. He wants a highlight reel knockout. He's always chasing them, so he's not going to. He'd rather, I think, win a decision than get a sloppy like finish almost. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he's always like trying to move and trying to set stuff up, and that constant offense is what's going to win him the fight. Nicolau doesn't have the same offense for him here, or the takedown ability to get him down, hold him down. So Manel Kape emphatically, and the line is -198 on DraftKings for Manel Kape.
Not bad at all. Not bad odds at all. I think he walks through Nicolau, just like you said. If Raw Dog was putting hands on you, Kape is going to put vicious strikes on you. I think he gets the knockout in this one. I think the Felipe dos Santos fight was more of a, you get more, you bite off more than you can chew. He said he went into that fight injured, but at times the biggest thing that can impact a fight is surprise. When you get more of a fight than you expected, he thought he was going to put this young 23-year-old kid away in the first round. Not the case. The kid was coming in on short notice and actually surprised him and a lot of other people. I'm definitely going to be taking a good look at Felipe dos Santos in his next fight, but I'm going with Manel Kape on this one.
Yeah, I was looking for a reason to put my money on Nicolau. Not nearly the volume striker that Manel Kape is. I think Kape is all the things you're looking for as being like faster, more athletic, more powerful than Nicolau here. When you throw the volume on top of that, and like you guys have said, Nicolau isn't like a dominant wrestler that's going to hold Kape down. The recipe here is Kape all the way, especially if you're sub 200. It's a good play. So Triple P certified Manel Kape. Also, my fantasy UFC roster fighter, of which I won, just not tallied.
So I will mention this is a rematch, but if you look at their first fight, since then Kape has gone undefeated, impressively so. Everyone's afraid of him. Then you got Nicolau, who just lost his last fight by knockout. So if they fought to a split decision the first time, where one of the judges thought Kape won, two of them thought Nicolau won, and then they're getting matched up again, but this time, same fight, all things equal, except one fighter has more confidence and has proven he's gotten better by winning in the cage. The other fighter has just gotten knocked out 6 months ago. So how quickly was he back to training? How long has he been training? Where's his confidence at? All things equal, if this one goes exactly like the first fight, but with the new data inputted, you have to go with Kape. So I think also it's going to be like Kape losing a split decision, chip on your shoulder, hungry dog runs faster, got to get that win. Very hard to beat a guy twice, especially a guy as good as Kape. There's a reason he's a minus 200 favorite, even though he lost the first time they fought. All right. Yep. Next, we got Ricky Simón versus Mario Bautista. Very interesting fight. Ricky Simón coming off that loss to Yadong Song 7 months ago by knockout. Other than that, had a really impressive win streak in general. 20-4 record, 31 years old, 5'6", 3 inches shorter than Bautista, but the reach is the same, unless Bautista's fudging those numbers or something. But you'll notice Bautista got that decision win against Dumont Blackshear. That was the second time Dumont fought, I think, back-to-back, right? He fought back-to-back weekends. And then before that, he submitted old man Guido Canetti. Before that, submitted Benito Lopez. Before that, submitted Brian Kelleher. Before that, decision against Jay Perron. Interesting fight. I want to check the lines. How about I go last on this one? You guys can give your breakdown first.
Go ahead, Alex.
His only 2 losses are 2 of your favorite fighters in this division, Luke Trevin 5-Star Jones and Corey Sandhagen. I don't know. Ricky Simón always – he's a guy I can't really read right or wrong. I get a lot of fights correct betting on him, but at the same time, the ones I really, really, really think he's going to win, he ends up losing emphatically. I think Mario Bautista has a lot more dimensions to his game than Ricky Simón. He's got amazing ground game, great striking. He's evolved so much in the past few years. And I like Mario Bautista winning this one and making a run at the title in 2024.
I'm going to go with Ricky Simón. Just, having a grappler heavy approach is always something that I'm looking for in a fighter, someone who can take it to a spot where, his opponent doesn't want to be. Mario Bautista has a lot of finishes on his record. I'm just not loving the competition's okay, but it's not great. I feel like Blackshear may have won the fight. I mean, if we're just looking at the numbers, he had more strikes landed and more takedowns. It's a tough one, but I like Simón here. He's hard to bet against. I feel like coming off of a loss, especially, like he's due for a win. It's a tough fight to call, though. I'm not really, really super comfortable with Simón either.
It's a tough fight to call. I think that Yadong Song has a little bit more stopping power. I think that he has a little bit more, like herky-jerky explosiveness that kind of can ring guys' bells a little bit more, especially when you have that boxy kind of stance that Simón has. But when I see Bautista, I see more of a Gutierrez-style striker where, he's bladed, he's more boxer, more more straight line, less side to side. And I think for a wrestler like Simón, that plays very well into his hand, right? Like that coming at him boxer style, he can get down low, and I think those legs are going to be there all day long. Bautista, I want to check out some of his older fights and see, like, okay, when was he tested in the wrestling department? Dumont Blackshear, that fight was so close. He hasn't really fought a guy like Simón.
Blackshear took him down 4 times.
Right. And Blackshear took that fight a week after he fought before. So, yeah. So that tells me that, like, if he could do that, right? If Corey Sandhagen can get him down and armbar him in the first round, what do you think Ricky Simón can do? Ricky Simone's way better on the ground than Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen, the guy that got smoked by Aljo in one round. There's a time when people were talking about Aljo getting really tested by Ricky Simón, possibly, when he was on that win streak before his last fight. I mean, the Yadong Song fight would have set him up to be kind of in the mix. So, yeah, I look at, I don't know. I'm going to go with Ricky Simón, but I wouldn't be surprised. I have respect for Mario Bautista, but I'm in the MMA lab, but I'm going to go with Ricky Simón.
Fair enough.
Tough pick. What do we got next? I'm trying to get to the page here.
We have
Ketlin Vieira versus Macy Chiasson.
Oh,
I'm Macy Chiasson. I missed weight in my last fight, and I do have a part-time job at Starbucks. Luke made me get one. He says I need to learn discipline, but it's going well. Great benefits. See me about a flat white. I'll give you a great flat white. Macy, I want a pistachio latte. Okay, I know it comes out January 3rd, but if you can get me one before, I'll be forever in your debt. Okay. Moreover, the mix. I'd love the pistachio latte mix or the flavoring, whatever it is. I know it's seasonal, but if I can get my hands on some, I'd be forever in your debt. So, 32-year-old Macy Chiasson coming off a loss.
I'm glad to see your taste evolved from when you were getting what's the McDonald's Shamrock Shake? When you were just like, if I could just have Shamrock Shakes all year, I would be the happiest.
I love
boy
a good Shamrock Shake, but part of my love for Shamrock Shake was the seasonality of it. You know, I loved getting excited about it, right? Like, there was McDonald's near my high school, so it was always kind of fun to be able to rally the troops, rally the boys. Like, boys, are we getting chamois shakes after high school today? And everybody be like, oh, like when it's sixth period, you got 2 periods, 3 periods to go, and you're talking to your boys about a possible Shamrock Shake like in a couple hours. Like, dude, it really that's a currency like cigarettes in jail. Like, that'll keep you going, you know. You guys ever have anything like that in high school? Like, for for me, sometimes you cut out right before lunch, the class you have before lunch, when it's like 10 minutes till the end of that class, you buy yourself a little bit of time, be like, yo, I gotta go to the bathroom before lunch. You get your pass signed, you leave, but then use that 10-minute window when no one's flooding the thing with class yet to go to your car, go to the local Wendy's, whatever, Wawa, get whatever you need. You come back and park. Now you're entering the lunchroom as everybody else is. You're blending right in. You're like a sentinel.
My calling card was I had a class called Video Productions right before lunch.
Yeah.
And as long as you had a camera, you had permission to be anywhere you wanted. So I would steady just be like, yo, we're filming, and then just leave because no one's doing attendance in lunch. And then I just bring the camera back after. And I was like, sorry, I got caught up doing a little man on the street. Here's a couple videos I took while I was gone. Meanwhile, I took those darn videos. As I got back, I'm doing a little man on the street when I get back. And we were and Luke, we weren't after milkshakes. We were after a different type of green during lunch. Okay, that was my calling card.
I mean, they gave us laptops the last 2 years of high school, and I was watching MMA Core, MMA Linker. These were 2 websites that actually just had any fight you wanted to watch on it. Like, it was way before the nowadays. The UFC didn't even have a way for you to watch these fights. It's not like I was like going around some way you could pay them to watch.
There was no daggum Fight Pass.
No, that wasn't even around yet, I don't think. And I had it. Trust me. I wanted to watch Strikeforce. I wanted to watch, Pride. I wanted to watch all these other promotions, So
Affliction. Do not forget Affliction.
I would just sit in the back of the classroom and just watch like all the fights. And then I watched so many fights. It got into movies after that. I started to watch documentaries just in the back of the classroom. And I mean, I don't know how they didn't rein that in. There's just too many laptops, I think. Everybody had a laptop. And my click game was just like, you just have the movie up and then all of a sudden they're coming, you click on to something else. You know what I mean? It's like
and it's not like you're playing Club Penguin over there. It's clicking a ton. Like, you're just watching something. You're not playing Club Penguin. Oh, I got to click this. I got to click that.
And if I was playing something, you're right. It was like the end game where you like have to just use the up and down arrows. It's like you don't have to do too much. Or Snake. I was a big Snake guy. Snake was the best game to play in class because you only needed the up and down arrows and the side to side arrows. So you're just like sitting there. I love a good Snake.
Did you ever have a reaction with a really good snake in class, and everyone was like,
Yes.
"What's he like reacting about?"
You're actually bringing up memories right now. Like I have like 7 of those right now that are just coming to my mind of like my friend being like, "Oh," and like like because you're getting a big streak and your friend's watching you, and then it happens, and they're just like, "Oh," and they're just so devastated for you. But nowadays the kids are way worse. I saw a video of a kid. It was like, bro is playing some video game, and the military is here, and it was like there were 2 military recruiters giving a speech about like, hey guys, if you want to join the military, like, you know, we're recruiters, who wants to join the military? And he's in the back of the class with a controller and his big ass laptop in his backpack playing fucking like Blade of Tsushima or something.
Yeah, he's like, you'd be perfect for the drones. We could use guys like you.
Yeah, like those military men clocked him. He thought he was getting away with it. They were just allowing it, and they were gonna pull him aside afterwards and be like, hey, listen, you're a real
It was a regular Goodwill Hunting. It was like they were like, we found him.
Yeah.
Ladies and
like,
gentlemen, it's Jason Bourne. Huh?
They were like, swords haven't been relevant in a while. How about we get you off Blade of Tsushima and get you on a little game called Battlefield 4? Right,
we're just going to throw you in the AC-130. No, you get to play the fun part. You shoot all the little ants on the ground. Don't worry about it.
This is called procrastinating this lady fight that we have to break. Fuck, I don't want to even watch this fight or break it down. I feel like no matter who I pick, I will be disappointed. Ketlen Vieira, the line is minus 218 on Ketlen Vieira. Before I even saw that, my instinct was just to go with her because I don't think this fight could look like Holly Holm versus
Ketlin Vieira?
Betcha Kohea.
Oh.
Where she just like is too stiff and too boxy, and the one Holly Holm just chops her up, right? And Macy Chiasson, I feel, is more fluid in her movement and could definitely do that to Ketlen Vieira, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think Ketlen Vieira is a little bit more competent than Betcha Kohea. She's going to move forward, march forward, get her hands on Chiasson, bully her, beat her up. She's meaner, she's stronger. She's been through more adversity in the Amazon of Brazil than Chiasson has been in fucking Austin, Texas, working at fucking...
Luke, she had a crane fall on her.
True. I forgot. The queen of adversity. I forgot. No one actually has been
the whole thing is no one had experienced more down. She lost her damn birth certificate and social security card. Do you know how hard it is to get both of those at once and be like, well, no, like a crane fell on me, and they're like, yeah, get back to Eastern Europe. Like they don't think she's from here. Come on. She lost every identifying document she had and a dog or something like that. I would imagine a dog.
Macy Chiasson tragedy. Let's just type this in.
You can't look her up. She doesn't exist anymore.
Okay,
don't
it says,
you get it?
Fighter Macy Chiasson sues after fatal crane collapse. She's suing because the crane collapsed. She's suing the apartment complex. I would sue the construction company over the
All right, let's not get involved in another lawsuit. Aren't we involved in enough on this show?
No. She says, I lost everything. Once I heard all the crashing and felt the shaking, I looked at my dog and got out of there as fast as possible. I didn't even have any shoes on. It reminds you how valuable life is. You're not replaceable, but material items are. Except for passports. They are very hard to replace. I'm kidding. Honestly, it's similar to what you do in the cage. You can't really think about what you're doing in the moment. You have to react, protect yourself, and understand how to deal with uncomfortable situations. So yeah, like that crane falling helped her, and it's going to help her. It's going to continue to pay dividends in the cage for her. Hold on. It says a woman was killed and several others were injured in the crane collapse. Bigot. Wow.
A bigot died too?
A bigot?
So yeah, and they are suing the crane and rigging company and the apartment owner. So yeah, that sucks. Rest in peace. And sorry.
I feel bad for the apartment owner. Like, God damn it! What did I didn't put the damn crane up.
So
what are you doing?
I'm switching my pick to Macy Chiasson.
All right, I'm gonna go with Ketlen Vieira.
Yeah,
I'm big Macy.
I'm going with Ketlen Vieira too.
As much as I am a Macy Chiasson fan, this is just another tragedy to befall on her. This fight, and it will be bad. She's not good at facing adversity in the cage, but great in real life. Dan, what do you think?
Alex, get your writers on this. This whole time I've been trying to make a witty joke about the crane in the Karate Kid, the move, and the crane with
Ketlin Vieira is going to crane take her whole building. Like, what do you mean? What else do you want?
Dude, I'm switching to Macy Chiasson. She's a fucking beast. She's 5'11". Ketlin Vieira is like 5'8". She's got 4 inches of reach on her. She misses weight all the time. She's gonna be so big in there. She's gonna just grab her and I don't know. But that's the thing. I don't see when I think of like who's more physically imposing is Ketlin Vieira all day. I don't see Macy Chiasson able to bully her in there, even with the size. So
it's like a Seattle Sounders fan versus a Raiders fan right now.
I'm going with Ketlin Vieira. So yeah, we should be certified Ketlin Vieira.
No, I'm going with Macy Chiasson. I like what you're saying about the mobility. I don't think Ketlin Vieira is like, Mike Tyson in there with the power, right? She's not going to be able to hold her down. Chiasson's a big woman in her own right. So I think she matches up with her physically. I think she's faster than her, more mobile, agile, and hostile now. Macy Chiasson coming into her own, a second burst of life of her UFC career. I think this is a good value. What'd you say? She was like plus 200, something like that?
Yeah.
Whatever, man. She could be minus 300. I'm picking her to win because I think she's going to win.
I'm switching to Macy Chiasson.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
I think you're right. I think that the only reason is, Dan, you're right, because I'm looking in all of Ketlin Vieira's wins
4 inches
by decision. 56% of her wins come by decision. 67% of her losses come by decision. She's not knocked anybody out in the UFC. So I just feel like she's not going to knock Macy Chiasson out, even though her last fight, she did get knocked out with that up, but you get hit in the liver with somebody's heel, you're going down. Doesn't really matter. So
looking at the stats here, she
beat Big Norm. You beat Big Norma Dumont. Come on now.
Yeah, she did recently. She's 3 inches taller. She's got 4 inches in reach. She lands more strikes per minute. She eats a strike and a half less per minute. She has more takedowns on average. Everything is in line. Same age.
And out of 4 to 7 men.
Yeah, that's a good chip.
I think we're on to something here, fellas. Are we going to triple P certify Macy Chiasson? No other show's doing that shit.
No, I'm going with Ketlin Vieira.
All right. All right.
No one knows Macy Chiasson more than I do. I watched her on The Ultimate Fighter. She just fights bad fighters. Pani Khanzad, Gina Mazzani.
Pani Khanzad's not a bad fighter.
Yes. But this is when Pani was really bad.
It wasn't Red Panty Night?
It wasn't Red Panty Night yet. We didn't quite get into the Red Panty Night.
Well, the only fights that you agree on.
She beat Larissa Pacheco, dude. She beat Larissa Pacheco, actually. Macy Chiasson. But I'm going with Ketlin Vieira.
All right, perfect. Well, next we got Phil Hawes taking on Bruno Ferreira. The Hulk, Bruno Ferreira, he got knocked out by Nursultan Ruzabov. Christmas is coming, and that's a North Pole name if I've ever heard one. Nursultan Ruzabov knocked him out. Counter right to ground and pound. Before that, he knocked out RoboCop with the counter left. Guys, Phil Hawes, man, like he is like the $6 million man. I mean, he's at this point, he's been knocked out, destroyed, leg destroyed, knocked out, beaten up in so many fights. And is now coming back. In his last 5 fights, he's been knocked out 3 times. The fight with Roman Dolidze, he pretty much got his leg snapped in some capacity, I think, and then went on to get knocked out. One of the worst outcomes you could possibly have. He put a beating on Deron Wynn. I mean, I think the record for the biggest beating of all time. And I love Phil Hawes. I think he's great. I love him as like a John Jones protege kind of. I loved when he fought Deron Wynn because he was like John Jones versus DC2. Both of their little buddies are kind of fighting each other. He's at a kill cliff. He's going to have a 5.5 inch reach advantage over Bruno Ferreira, who's 10-1, coming off that knockout just 4 months ago. But, Phil Hawes coming off of 2 knockouts within the last calendar year, one of them being 6 months ago. I think that's all the important information to give. This fight's coming down to durability for me, and even though they both are coming off knockouts, it's hard to say one's more durable than the other, but I do know that one only loss and one only knockout loss at 31 years old is a lot better than 3 knockout losses in the last calendar year or in the last 2 years, getting knocked out 3 times in the last 2 years with the knee stuff, 35 years old. at the time, of the fight. I'm going with Bruno Ferreira here. And he's going to be a plus 110 underdog. I will happily hop on that early and get him in some action. No offense to Phil Hawes. I love Phil Hawes, but you're giving me a guy off back-to-back knockout losses brutally in the last year, and you're telling me he's a favorite against a guy who knocked out RoboCop. Yeah, sure, he got knocked out in his last fight too, but he parties hard in there, and I think that when the dust smoke settles, if they choose to party hard, which is the only way Ferreira is going to fight, Phil Hawes will not be able to keep to stay awake, and he's going to pass out on the couch with his shoes on, get drawn all over his face. So Phil Hawes to lose by knockout, fight to not go the distance either way. Hold on. Last thing I'll say. I think Bruno Ferreira wins by knockout. I don't think Phil Hawes knocks Bruno Ferreira out. So fight to go the distance is actually probably the smarter bet if you don't want to go with Ferreira, because two guys coming off knockouts, this is going to be a fight where they show all their highlights of them getting knocked out and them knocking people out, and they go, no way this fight goes the distance. And it goes the distance because they both just got knocked out 6 months ago and they're gun shy. So that could happen too. It could end up being kind of like Michelle Pereira versus Chaos Williams. Two great elite strikers. Nobody sees how the both can be standing when the dust smoke settles, but they are, right? It could go to the distance, but I'm going to take Bruno Ferreira to be safe, especially as an underdog.
Bruno Ferreira for me as well. The Hulk versus Megatron. Kind of crazy. You'd always want that in a comic book, but they never give it to you. But I think it's going to be a little bit like King Kong, where the Hulk is sitting on top of the Empire State Building, catches the plane out of the sky, crushes it, and throws it to the ground. Megatron's a plane, right?
Megatron, I don't know. I wasn't a Transformers kid.
Me either, brother. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Bruno Ferreira here. I just think he's got a lot more upside. He's a little younger, has got a little bit more pop to him, is a little bit more unbeatable, than Phil Hawes, who's lost a lot. Dan?
I think this is a trap fight. I think it's a Vegas trap fight. I'm going with Phil Hawes. I think everyone's looking at this as Phil Hawes having perfected the chicken dance, like Michael Jackson in the moonwalk. And this guy, Bruno Ferreira, everyone knows him for his two knockouts, coming out off a knockout loss regardless. But, everyone kind of knows him as this not little guy, but short, stocky guy, big power. I feel like in everyone's mind's eye is the Phil Hawes chicken dance after this fight. I think it's just a little too good to be true. I think Phil Hawes is a technically better fighter all around. The wrestling's always there. I think he can match Bruno in the volume department. And again, just a little bit more technically sound, less power certainly, but just a better fighter overall. It's like you're saying, Alex, the same thing can't happen all the time, right? The heavyweights can't always get the knockouts all the time. They oftentimes, come to a decision. And I feel like that's the same with Phil Hawes getting knocked out. He can't get knocked out every single fight. He's got to, take it to the distance at least one of these times. And I think if that's the case, we got ourselves a better fighter in this corner here. So I'll take Phil Hawes at minus 130.
And you're right on the tape aspect. It's like Phil Hawes is too good to be having this shit happen to him so often.
Yeah.
And next up, we have Jim Miller, Sparta, New Jersey, stand up versus Gabriel Benitez, Mowgli. Dan, how do you see this one playing out? I know this one's probably near and dear to your heart.
Near and dear, North Jersey brethren. Gonna go with Jim Miller here. Not a big fan of Benitez. There's definitely a reason why he's the one in this fight against Jim Miller. I feel like they're trying to build him up maybe a little bit for that UFC 300. I'm surprised he's taken this fight and didn't just save himself for that card that he would have been on. Yeah, UFC 1, 2, and 300. That being said, Benitez is stiff as a board. The only redeeming thing we could say about him as a fighter at this point in his career is the leg kicks. I don't think that's going to be enough to stop Jim Miller. I think, tough as nails, Jim Miller, North Jersey, moving forward, ripping it to the body, and potentially getting a takedown as well. I know Benitez trains at a AKA, so there's always been a ton of wrestlers over there. But even to this day, Jim Miller Go and get that takedown, baby. I'm going to go with the dog at plus 130, Jim Miller.
What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to take Jim Miller, but it just seems like although these guys are relatively close in age, Mowgli's going to be 35 when this fight takes place. It just seems like a different era of fighting that leans heavier in Gabriel Benitez's hand here. I think I'm going to go with Mowgli on this one. No, I'm not.
Can I give you
yes,
a
I am.
backstory?
I'm
Can I
going to
give you
go
a
with Mowgli.
backstory? So what's interesting, real quick, before you make your decision, what's interesting about this one is that Mowgli trains at AKA Daniel Cormier's gym. Daniel Cormier on the pre-fight weigh-ins show that they drink Modelo, or now I guess Bud Light, and they eat spicy foods and they do all this fun stuff. On that show, there's this running joke where one of the show hands says, well, Jim Miller, first ballot Hall of Famer, and everybody kind of agrees, and DC is like, no. Guys, no. Jim Miller is not a Hall of Famer. And they're like, why? He's got the most wins. And they all circle around DC and they're like, he's got the most wins out of any fighter in UFC history. How can he not be considered a Hall of Famer? And DC's like, because he's never fought for a title. He's never had a title. Like, the Hall of Fame has to mean something. Like, Jim Miller is not a Hall of Famer. He just goes off every single time. Like, so it's interesting that these two are fighting, because if Mowgli can win, DC can kind of, I almost see DC going up to him and be like, you need to beat this motherfucker. Okay. Keep him out of the Hall of Fame. Keep him off UFC 300. Keep him off the Hall of Fame. Just make me right,
And I mean, is 14 fights really the most UFC fights anybody has? That can't be right.
No.
He has one more win than Donald, or one more fight and one more win than Donald Cerrone, I think.
Did he fight in WEC or something? Like, is that counting toward it?
He has 25 UFC wins.
Oh, I'm looking at Mowgli. Duh.
Yeah, he's got 25.
I was
UFC
like,
wins.
he only has 14 fights.
And what do we always say? I always say that the best UFC fighter of all time, whether you're Alistair Overeem or Randy Couture or Chael Sonnen or Anderson Silva, you're going to finish with about a 66% win rate. And what is our win rate usually? We can pick fights at about a 66% win rate. And yeah, and if you look at Jim Miller, 25 wins, 16 losses. So yeah, exactly, like a 66% win rate in the UFC. Getting it done without any damage, right? Finishes Cerrone with that guillotine in round 2. Finishes Jesse Butler in 23 seconds. Loses to Hernandez, but a competitive fight, Finishes Motta in round 2. Finishes Gonzalez in 14 seconds in round 2. So he's getting in and out of there in less than 6 minutes. When he goes the distance, Joe Solecki, Alex Hernandez, he loses. So if you look at his UFC losses, 69% of his losses, 11 of his 16 losses are by decision. He's been subbed 3 times and knocked out twice. And those fights haven't happened in quite some time. I mean, the last guy to finish Jim Miller was Charles Oliveira. Guy before that was Dan Hooker. Guy before that was Mike Chiesa. Guy before that was Donald
And
Cerrone.
this is when he still had Lyme's disease.
And guy before that was Nate Diaz. So those are the people who have finished Jim Miller. Nate Diaz.
And that's a Lyme's diseased Jim Miller. Like, that's not fully healthy Jim Miller like he is now.
In 2015, Beneil Dariush is a loss he has to decision. Dustin Poirier, majority decision. Anthony Pettis, decision. So he's been in there with some real hammers. Even the new breed, like you said, Joe Solecki, Alex Hernandez, decision. I think that Mowgli is not like the type of guy who, if this fight goes the distance, is going to be the better fighter in round 3 necessarily. It's not like he'll have that much of an advantage there, right? I mean, he's got some decision losses himself, 4 losses by decision. He's also been finished in round 3 by Billy Quarantillo. He's been finished in round 1 by David Unama. No shame there. Finished in round 1 by Sadiq Youssef. He's the fighter that, you put him in there against a good fighter, Andre Fili, Sadiq Youssef, Billy Quarantillo, David Unama, he's getting finished and quick. You put him in there against a guy that doesn't fight in the UFC anymore, Justin James, Humberto Bandane, and most recently, Charlie Ontiveros. You put him in there against guys who no longer are in the UFC, he finishes them, right?
Every time I see Charlie Ontiveros on Tapology, I think it's Charles Oliveira. I'm like, what? They beat Charlie Olives?
I think the key here is in you would say it's like, okay, like he hasn't been able to win a decision against a decent fighter in almost 10 years, right? Since Jason Knight in 2017, Clay Collier in 2015. Other than that, he's never really gotten a good victory over top guy. So I think that since Jim Miller has, and since Jim Miller only loses to the top, and this guy only beats really shitty kind of guys, and loses to mid-level competition like Billy Quarantillo, like Omar Moraes, Andre Fili, Enrique Barzola, I'm going with Jim Miller too.
Oh, fuck. You guys are really making me want to bet on Jim Miller. Oh, but I'm not.
I like your instinct, Alex, just because there are no happy stories. There's no happy endings in MMA. And like for Jim Miller to go out there and just win against Benitez and be like, and now I'm going to UFC 300. I'm going to Hollywood, baby. Like that just doesn't happen,
But that's what Benitez is thinking too. He's like, hey, this is potentially my last fight in the UFC also. Like, I want a happy ending. This is it. So they're both in the same spot, but Jim Miller's better.
I don't know. Benitez might be able to withstand that first round.
The thing is Jim Miller isn't in a must-win situation. Like, he's going to get the Donald Cerrone treatment. He's going to get the BJ Penn treatment. He's going to get all that, dude. But you're Benitez. You're 4-2 out of your last 6. Like, you got to win this.
It's really great matchmaking, hard to call, and that's why the line, I think, is where it is. Minus 155 Benitez. That might look generous. I mean, at 40 years old, you never know when the drop-off is going to be. So I think that this is a situation where we know that 66% of the time, the younger fighter of 5 years or more wins, and that's what we're looking at here. They have equal experience. They have equal pedigree of opponents, mixed results for Benitez, better results for Miller. But at 5 years of age and now 40, you always got to wonder when that other shoe is going to drop. Now, Clay Guida looked pretty fantastic, or not fantastic, but competent in his last fight. That's a good calibration mechanism for Miller, I think. But plus 130 on Miller. Either way, whoever you end up betting on, I feel like you're going to look back in hindsight and feel like that was generous because I think somebody wins dominantly. I don't see this fight go in the distance.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I guess
but there is going to be a happy ending in the next one, motherfuckers, because it's Andre Arlovski versus Waldo Cortes-Acosta. Guys, I fucking love Andre Arlovski. I love this guy so much. There's nobody in the UFC I probably love more than Andre Arlovski. I'm rolling Andre Arlovski on this one. So what? He got knocked out by Dontel Myers. So what? He got knocked out or submitted by Marcos Rodrigo de Lima. What am I thinking, guy? I got to go with Andre Arlovski. I mean, he has to lose this fight, but he is going to, by hook or by crook, win. Or is this the start of another 5-3 fight losing streak, as we've seen happen numerous times in Andre Arlovski's career? First fight ever, he loses. Wins 4 in a row. Loses 2 in a row. Wins 6 in a row. Loses 2 in a row. Wins 5 in a row. Then loses 4 in a row. And guys, this is when he's young. This is 2011 he's losing 4 in a row. Then he wins 5 in a row. Loses 1. Wins 6 in a row. Loses 5 in a row. 2016. This is a significant amount of time. And now he's 44 fucking years old. He's on a 2-fight skid after a 4-fight winning streak. Dadgummit, guys, I think we got to go against Andre Arlovski right here. Because he's going to go on another 4-fight skid and then come back with another 5-fight green. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, when you give him fighters like Mike Kyle, Andre Karanok, Brennan Schaub, Antonius, not Bigfoot Silva, but you give him fighters like that, you can go on a little bit of a streak a while ago. But then you give him fighters like Josh Barnett, Francis Ngannou, Alistair Overeem, Stipe Miocic, he's going to lose those. Then they gave him, Stefan Struve, Junior Albini, gets those wins, but loses to Tai Tuivasa. Loses to Sakai, wins against Rothwell, loses to Rosenstrike, wins against Linz, wins against Bozer, loses to Aspinall, of course. And then 4-fight winning streak against Sherman, Felipe, Vandera, and Collier. Essentially 4 fights that are all the same guy that went all the same way. And then he gets finished
Brazilian
back
Collier. Collier.
But then he gets finished
Mountain.
finished against back-to-back fights against guys that are only a hair better than Collier, Vandera, Felipe Sherman. So Waldo or Acosta, AOC over here, Waldo Alexandra Acosta Cortez is going to win, I think.
I hate Andre Arlovski. I don't know how anyone could love him from the gambling community. It's like this guy, because I have no idea. My head is 360 all the way around here. I have no way of understanding Arlovski, whether he's going to win, whether he's going to lose.
Dumbass, here's the way. It's like, if the fighter sucks, bet on Andre Arlovski. If it's the current champion of the world, Tom Aspinall.
Well, we don't know with fucking
AOC
because he's young and he's displayed skills. We also seem like he sucks at times. He's all over the place also.
Remember very early on in the show, I went and I looked back on, okay, when a fighter loses and they are actually a lot younger than their opponent, what's that situation look like? And I found out that in those moments where
it's a bloody young crab fighting another crab, and when that crab wins, they're more likely to win against the next crab. It's
more so that when the fighter is older and wins, he is actually either a pick'em or a favorite in those situations. So for my analysis,
who's the favorite in this?
Not Arlovski. He's like a 3-1 underdog.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god, bro. AOC at minus 395 is a little rich, a little much.
Way too much.
mean,
you dumbasses are betting on Jim Miller, not even a Hall of Famer who has never fought for a title. Andre Arlovski, hold the dang title. Okay.
12, but Jim Miller's 5 years older than his opponent and looked pretty good recently. Andre is 12 years older than his opponent.
And he's
this guy's a baseball player, dude. They don't like contact.
So you going with Arlovski?
No, sadly, he's gonna.
Next, we got Big Norm. So we'll trophy certify Waldo Cortes-Acosta. That's the first trophy certified pick since Manel Kape, second of the card. Norma Dumont taking on Yana Santos. Guys, Norma Dumont, we love her. I love her. Yana Santos, she's a bettor's nightmare, I think, right, Dan? I mean, she's pesky in there. Her last 3 fights, she loses, but Carol Rosa, split decision, Holly Holm decision. 2 fights where it was kind of like, hey, this is the younger fighter. Maybe she can get it done. Irene Aldana knocks her out. Before that, she can win against Katlyn Vieira, Julia Starolenko, but hasn't won in almost 3 years. Meanwhile, Big Norm on a 3-fight winning streak over the last year and a half. Taking out Danielle Wolf, taking out Chelsea Chandler, taking out Carl Rosa. Good competition. Her only loss, that split decision to Macy Chiasson in the last 2 years. Easy one for me. Norma the Immortal Dumont. Love her steam, love her where she's going with all her good stuff. And she's going to be coming in as a minus 278 favorite. So I'm going to want to jump on that soon. Don't want to bet it too much higher than that, but I do think she will get it done.
I thought she was Little Monster, wasn't she?
That's Vanessa Demopoulos.
Okay.
Ask me any fighter's nickname. I got
it. The White Mike Tyson.
That's John Phillips. I almost said Jake Hadley. That's White Kong.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. Yana Santos, Foxy Yana. Bust down, Foxy Yana, bust down. I want to see you bust down. She's on a 3-fight skid. Her husband sucks at fighting.
I wouldn't say he sucks. He just doesn't have any equipment left in his body.
Yeah, no, he's good.
He's like Michael Bisping. He's like, I don't have any knees. Let's see how long they know. Johnny Walker's dumb enough to did he lose that fight? I mean, he lost it in my mind.
I mean, no, Thiago Santos is a good fighter. You're right. The equipment's malfunctioning big time. Somebody's got to get a win between these two, and it's not going to be Yana Santos. It's not. I hope if either of them get a win, it's Thiago Santos, because then he at least wins $1 million. We don't need to waste Yana Santos's win or the Santos family's win on a 15 to win. We're going to go Norma Dumont here. Norma Dumont all the way. She wins this fight. Younger, stronger, faster. Not as many miles on her. Dan, what do you think?
All of Norma Dumont's fights, except for one against Macy Chiasson, she's landed at least a takedown. So clearly that's part of her game plan. By the way, that strengthens our Chiasson argument as well. Macy Chiasson landed 6 takedowns on Norma Dumont. Just Just think about that.
Santos has a similar body type.
Fight again. Took down Norman Dumont 6 times.
Santos got a similar body type though. She's got that big body, wide body Calabasas Rwanda.
But Santos was taken down by Holly Holm like 4 times.
Ugh.
So this is like the Venn diagram is telling me Norma Dumont here. The takedowns will be there. That's going to be part of the game plan. I like that. I like when a fighter knows what they want to do. They do it all the time. It's their one thing. Just get it done. We'll be good. The opponent, not good at stopping it. Easy win. Norma Dumont.
Hell yeah. I'm excited for this next fight. How do you guys feel about it? Can I get a pulse check?
I'm excited for the one after that. We got your boy Basil Hafez coming up, and then we got Wonder Boys protege Weston Wilson after that.
Did you make that up, or are they actually friends?
They train together.
All right.
Got him in the UFC. All right,
I didn't know. I didn't know for sure. I thought this was just one of your shticks.
Marcus McGhee certainly showed he's fucking someone in his last couple of fights, dominating Journey Newsom, dominating JP Bays. If you look at this fight, he's coming in. Let me see. Minus 298 on Marcus McGhee.
Oof.
The Dream Killer, Gaston Bolaños, coming off that decision win 7 months ago against Aaron Phillips. Before that, he came out of Bellator with a knockout win. But he did lose 2 fights in Bellator, one by split decision and one by guillotine. Over the
solo hat lay.
He's only fought 5 times.
Brother.
He's only fought 5 times in the last 5 years. He's going to be equally matched height and reach wise, equally matched age wise. For me, MMA Lab, Marcus McGhee, this man is built like he's carved out of granite. He looks like he's in Apocalypto. He's truly built for this. He looks like one of the least fun guys to fight, like Alex Pereira. Like it's just like Yoel Romero. Like you just hit him. It looks like it would hurt to hit him. You know what I mean? Stoic Warrior, love McGhee in this matchup. I think he gets it done. This guy is out here getting finished in Bellator, getting coming after. I just think it's a tall order for him. Aaron Phillips. When he fought Aaron Phillips hadn't fought since 2020. Okay, so it was a 3-year layoff for Aaron Phillips. He lost to Gaston Bolaños. I think Gaston Bolaños is the guy who was on Joe Rogan's podcast, right?
That's what I was thinking
with his dad.
And he made that fight with Aaron Phillips a lot harder than it needed to be. We were like, oh, it's Gaston Bolaños all day. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast. I think this is where the rubber meets the road. Marcus McGhee gets a win here. Bolaños just doesn't have the experience to touch the MMA Lab right now. So I think the MMA Lab gets it done, and McGhee gets it done.
Yeah, that's what the line would indicate. He's a minus 300. I like everything that you're saying, Lukey. At first take, like before looking at tape or anything, I was like, oh, Gaston Bolaños, Joe Rogan, plus 240. It's too good to be true. And it is. Marcus McGhee is an animal. Pretty much damn near all finishes. So I like what I'm seeing. Luke said everything. He's just a freak out there. So a lot better than Bolaños.
Absolute animal McGhee. I love Gaston Bolaños. Young, handsome, fast, great Muay Thai striker. Has a fashionable style. But let's not forget, guys, when McGhee was fighting JP Buys, he was getting hit a little bit. Same with the fight against Journey Newsom. He did take some touches. He can't take those touches against Bolaños. But I think he has more ways to win. Gaston Bolaños is one-dimensional. He is from Peru. He is an animal. He does train with his dad. His dad is a little bit of a weirdo. I remember that from the Joe Rogan episode. But Gaston Bolaños loses this fight to Marcus McGhee.
Trophy certified Marcus McGhee. Moving on.
Something else I wanted to say. Every single guy he lost to before this had or now has an even record. The best loss he has was his second MMA fight. But Daniel Carey is now 7-7. He went from 6-3 after he fought Gaston Bolaños to 7-7. And then Solo Hatley Jr., Luke, related to Jake Hatley, a.k.a. the IRS man. That's his fight nickname. And remember that because that's a fire-ass nickname. He's like 10-9 now. So Everybody he's lost to has like an even record at this point.
Why wouldn't you say the tax man instead of the IRS man? Like
I
tax
don't know.
man flows, and it also, But anyway,
It's trademarked by the Beatles. You can't use it.
gotcha. Well, all right, perfect. Triple certified McGhee, and next we got Preston Parsons taking on Basil Hafez. Preston Parsons, a guy we've liked in the show since the show's inception, came about during the pandemic, and we like his name, Double P, right? Triple P certified, Double P, Preston Pressure Parsons,
Triple
P.
Yeah.
But for me, this is open and shut. Basil Hafez with something to prove, showed his worth, showed his mettle against Jack Della Maddalena, and he's just a hair under minus 200 right now. I'm going Basil Hafez all day, and we'll see if he's trophy certified.
Alex,
Basil,
this is your former training partner, so please educate me.
Oh, we weren't training partners, but
You guys were rolling. You guys were rolling.
We were from affiliate schools, so we had cross paths a couple times. When I got my blue belt, he choked me out senseless like 8 times in a row. And if you can choke me out, you could probably choke out literally anybody in the world. I got to go with Basil on this one. The Habibi. He's going to go out there and destroy him. I mean, he was short notice for Jack Della Maddalena. And he gassed in that fight, but he won that fight on one judge's scorecard and my scorecard. And I think that it shouldn't have even been a debate. I thought he definitely won that fight. He's going to go out there and put the pressure on Pressure Parsons. But let's be honest, guys. Let's call a spade a spade. This is a harder fight than Jack Della Maddalena. These two guys, this is an unstoppable force and an immovable object. These guys have similar styles, similar game plans. They both want to get it to the ground. They both have slick jiu-jitsu. They both have a lot of pressure. I'm going to go with Basil. He's an absolute warrior. He's deserved to be in the UFC for a long time. I think he gets it done against Pressure Parsons and, goes back to his winning ways and maybe gets that Jack Della Maddalena fight down the road back. Dan, what do you think?
I think that both you and Luke are missing the signs, the symbols behind this. So Basil, he represents you, and Preston Parsons, he represents the perfect parlay.
Yes, Triple P.
Well, no. A perfect parlay, Preston Parsons. Basil represents you. So the way that this fight goes, I think really determines whether you actually got a perfect parlay or not. As we talked about in the beginning of the show, I don't think you did. So therefore, I think Preston Parsons is going to win this fight. I think he's going to get it done. I don't think that you trained enough with him with your very good jiu-jitsu skills. And I think Preston Parsons is coming in with the takedowns, coming in with a lot. So Preston Parsons, based on signs and symbols, which is, something that we go by quite often on this show, they are indicating to me Preston Parsons will get this win.
Oh my gosh, dude. Pressure Preston Parsons fought Mike Perry. Holy cow. That's
beat his ass too.
No, he got knocked out in the first round, Pressure Preston Parsons.
But before that, he was beating his ass.
And D-Rod, he's out of the UFC now. Right? He got cut.
Daniel Rodriguez?
I think he got cut.
I think someone just called him out.
Really?
Yeah, I forget who, but
Ian Gary?
No. Someone who just fought.
That's crazy. I don't think he fought since that Ian Gary fight. Oh my gosh, he hasn't fought since Ian Machado Gary. Why does that feel like so much longer of a time ago? Oh, Diaz Ferguson, he fought Jing Lingjiang.
Yes.
I thought that Ian Gary fight was on that card. Which, Ian Gary's fighting this weekend. If you want to hear that, you go to the Comb Club. No, I'm going with Basil. I mean, I'm going with Basil. Luke's going with Basil. You're going with Pressure Preston Parsons, Triple P Preston, but not Triple P certified. Next up, we got Gabriel Santos versus Luke's favorite fighter, Weston Wilson. Please meet me at the West End. If you got time, we can run one. Talk about some things we can undo. we're gonna get copyright stricken because I've been singing on this show, and I'm gonna keep singing my little heart out.
Singing your heart out, buddy.
I don't care. We're not even monetized. What the fuck can they do?
Yeah, what can they take?
They can't take anything. They cannot take a single thing from us. You know, it's funny. I saw Barstool had something like they threatened to take an age restrict something on Barstool and take it down. And I was like, we say way worse stuff than that, like all the time. But I guess it's like, oh, you guys just want money, which is fine. Like if I was making any money on this whatsoever, I might, you know, dial back a little bit. I will sell out. You'll be
the corporate underking.
Yes, I will suck their dick, dude. I'll do whatever it takes so we can make this show.
Bro, how lame? No, I remember what you were saying from the other room. How lame is it that, like, you said about the age restriction? You know why we don't get age restricted? Because I click the button that says, no, this video is not made for children every time. So what does that tell you? Like, they just want people who don't say they're whose account says that they're not 18 to not be able to watch Barstool content. That's what like YouTube wants, I guess, right? Certain Barstool content. Some of it they let them watch, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it they go, no. And they're like, what the fuck? It's like, you're the ones going through the corporation. You're going through Google and YouTube. Why does it matter that they are like, hey, we don't want this on our site to kids?
It's all right. They made $1.3 million off putting that show on their site and charging $10 for it.
Yeah, I'm not crying in my beer, you know, for people who
130K pay-per-view buys for that thing.
Why don't you? I'd rather
have it on good authority.
I'd rather Barstool say whatever the fuck they want and make it like fucking something you pay for, like Daily Wire or some shit.
That's what they did. I'm telling you.
What?
I'm telling you, they put it on their site, didn't edit a thing out, and
is that the thing he sent me, Surviving Barstool?
Yes.
I heard it was funny. I might watch that.
Hilarious. It's so good.
I'm just saying, yeah, it's like
if you think that fucking show where they sit on an island is funny, like if you think that's good, you got to see them on. You got to see people that actually know each other going into this with actual relationship repercussions. People will be mad about this afterwards. They're playing for $100,000. You don't think Rico Bosco will be mad if Dave fucking votes him off? Like,
so yeah. Well, basically, what I'm trying to say though is support this show. Go to the Patreon because we don't put ads on the show, and we also don't. And we could. We have 1,000 subscribers. We could put ads, but we don't. And we, don't charge money for comments or things like that. But if you
don't read ads, don't ask for donations.
Exactly. So
we just give you extra content.
Saying he would sell out. I do not want to sell out. I want to take this show more off of YouTube and onto our own website, and that's coming, guys. This is all part of the process, okay? But right now we're just in the early guerrilla warfare stage, right? So we're just gonna keep the YouTube portal up. We got the Discord, we got the YouTube, we got the Patreon. The Patreon we can do whatever the hell we want. We played that John Danaher video. They did Flow Wrestling did copyright strike us for that, but it didn't matter.
Really?
It's not monetized, so it doesn't matter. It's through the Patreon bit. Yeah, I'm like, it's fair use. We were commenting on the video. Flow Wrestling, really Flow Wrestling, really petty bullshit. This is why nobody supports wrestling.
And it's crazy how litigious we could get. We do have a lawyer on retainer, and we just never use him.
Oh my god. Anyway, I heard that Dan picked Preston Parsons, so I think that Dan is just spoiled with his lead, and he's just now in a state of like being willing to take losing bets. But anyway,
please.
It's just like when he was making a funny nickname about our dear friend and cohort and the only guy who comes on the show.
Guys, Alex is being modest. Backstage, he would always talk about how he would sub Basil. So if Basil's getting subbed by the EuroUnderKing, I think Preston Parsons is going to have his way with him. So
never said that. Never said that, but
by the way, make note that the EuroUnderKing is violating Bushido code, talking about what's going on in the gym. Very bad on the EuroUnderKing's part.
Listen, I will say this. He did beat Iggy Bahamundez, gave him his first ever loss, finished him with an armbar in round 1. But Pressure Preston Parsons is just a poor man's Bill Algeo. I said it. I said it.
I think he's got more power than Bill Algeo.
They just both look like a car coming down the road with both of its doors open. So that's why I made the comparison. Really, but they are a little bit alike. Gabriel Santos versus Weston Wilson, sacrifice job. This is basically, they give Gabriel Santos Lerone the Miracle Murphy. The kid's fucking 26 years old. They give him the Miracle undefeated in his first fight. He takes him to a split decision in his debut. Then they give him David Onama in his second fight just 4 months later. And David Onama does what David Onama does. I mean, people don't realize just because of that one gas job he had after bludgeoning homeboy from Tennessee. What's his name? Nate the Train. Bludgeoning him for the first round. And then Nate withstands that because that's what he does. And yeah, he gassed out. But other than that, I mean, David Onama, I really think people don't give him enough credit. I think he's a stud. So yeah, he got knocked out 4 months ago by David Onama. But this guy got knocked out 4 months ago too. And all things equal, I'm going to go with the young stud of 7 years younger. If you look at where Weston Wilson trains, it's upstate karate. The only guy who fights in the UFC professionally is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. It's the only guy who fights professionally there. So this is like, hey, Weston Wilson, watch the cash register enough days in a row, I'll get you a fight in the UFC. You know what I mean? Right, Dan?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm liking Santos, but obviously the line's insane. Minus 750.
That's what it is?
Yeah, dude. It's insane.
I mean, that's crazy, It's
very crazy. But like at the same time, am I tempted at all to pick Weston Wilson?
Upstate kickboxing, or Wonder Boy's dad, Ray Thompson, famous guy, kickboxer guy. His gym is getting just disrespected. I mean, he's got his son going in there against Shavkat. He's a minus 1,000 favorite. He's got his son. The only other guy that fights in the UFC is coming in there for his second fight, of which the last one he got knocked out. He's a minus 700 favorite as opponent. So, I mean, that just tells you something right there, what the public sentiment is about the quality of training going on down there. And say what you want about Chris Weidman, say what you want about Stephen Wonderboy Thompson mixing it up with younger guys. It's not like they're doing in city kickboxing. It's not like they're doing in the places where people want to be champions. He can say what he wants, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just you can't have two primes. And Wonderboy should be in bare knuckle. Should get a bare knuckle fight with Mike Perry. Michael Venom Page would be a good bare knuckle fight. Should get a little Anthony Pettis rematch going in bare knuckle. Get a little Eddie Alvarez. Just get in the mix with those guys. Why are you still in the UFC? You're never getting a title shot in the UFC again. And if you did, you would get smoked out so quick by Leon or Colby or anybody in there. And it's going to be so bad with Rakhmonov. And I think it's bad for Weston Wilson too. But at those odds, I can't take a guy coming off back-to-back finish, or I can't take a guy coming off a knockout loss and back-to-back losses at minus 750. That's a little crazy.
Yeah, it's but again, not even dog or pass though. I'm not playing around with a Weston Wilson even at plus over 500. So yeah, Santos is not much time needs to be put onto this one. Alex, you gonna triple P cert?
I'll triple P certify Santos. Not gonna have a lot on this. As Luke said, can't take a guy. Both of these guys got knocked out in the first round of their last fight, or second for Santos. But yeah, not even gonna waste my time on really betting this too much.
Simpsonville, South Carolina. Defend yourself, because nobody believes in the yellow bellies from the Carolines. All right, the gauntlet has been thrown. I mean, all you guys have to do is beat Shavkat Rakhmonov, and then Weston Wilson's got to go in and win too. Weston Wilson is the more likely of the two to win. If you told me one of them gets a win, it's Weston Wilson.
I thought you'd be a lot more passionate about this one. I mean, seeing as how much you hate that karate
What's there to
school.
say? He's like, I mean, at the odds as a betting man, I'm like, it's going to be a slugfest. Weston Wilson's going to at least try. Like, I don't know, just take him by. I don't know. I mean, I thought that his opponent was better. I thought Gabriel Santos is good, but nobody's that good coming off a knockout 4 months ago. The only thing is they both were. But that should make this like a minus 350 favorite, not a minus 750. That's crazy. So, next one, we got Dennis Psycho Bondar coming out of Ukraine, taking on Felipe Burns. And I told you guys last time about the Ukraine. Ukraine is out. Israel Palestine is in. The UFC does not give a fuck about Ukraine anymore. They brought in Poteria. Ali Abdelaziz signed him. It's like, oh, we got a Ukraine. Ukraine's hot right now. And then what happened? He gets not only loses, but then in the fight that he's about to win, the judge completely robs him of it because it's just not top of mind for the judge anymore. He's not remembering that we're supposed to be helping these Ukrainians, not hurting them. But that judge hurt Ego Perteria, and Carlos Hernandez, the guy we just saw get smoked by Tatsuya Tiara, absolutely dominated in every capacity that there is to score a fight, both on the ground and on the feet, and finished. Absolute shutout. This guy just got delivered by Tiara, and this guy lost a technical decision to him. I remember that fight was weird, though. Let's go back to that.
It was the headbutt. When the
headbutted who? I'm looking at it right now. While the fight was originally a TKO finish for Hernandez, it went to the judges' scorecards due to an inadvertent headbutt at the end of the fight.
He literally suplexed him, and their head made incidental contact when he hit the ground.
So, yeah. So, Hernandez, who was just getting fucked up on the ground by Tiara, was suplexing this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think you go with Felipe Burns, even though it's his debut. The way it seems that he's lost recently in the last 2 years was by submission. Doesn't seem like Bondar has that in him if he's getting ragdolled by Hernandez. That was 4 months ago. Sounds like he was concussed enough. Knocked out even. So I'm going with Felipe Burns. The odds are Burns minus 162. Now that's what I would want, to get Santos at, but obviously that's crazy. Like, yeah, we can all want. That's what I'd want to get, Santos. But I'm going with Burns, man. It's Burns all day.
I don't know if it's Burns all day. Not really. First of all, his name is Bunes. I don't know why I'm repeating you. But
the font is so small. I got this light in my face. Come on.
I hear you, man. We're getting old.
No,
Luke's got half of the shit that you have in the first place. Okay, so
plus an R, like BUN, like an N looks like an R. You know what I mean?
I understand. I understand. But the guy is making his UFC debut, and Luke, you always point out the stat upon that, right? 65% or whatever it may be for the debutants losing.
Okay, but Dan, hear me out on that. That's maybe, I think, when you're fighting a guy who's won in the UFC, right? I mean, I don't know if that's actually the stat, but I'm just saying, that is he's not a proven commodity in the UFC at this point. And further point, this is taking place at the Apex, so no bright lights. Burns has probably fought in similar situations with his LFA experience, so could be no. And plus, he's from Brazil too. I think Brazilian guys don't really succumb to the bright lights as much.
Yeah, but he's like a jiu-jitsu guy, not a type of fighter that we are typically high on. Going up against a wrestler in the Apex, the wrestling will be engaged. I feel like he's not going to get submitted. Doesn't have a history of getting submitted.
Did you see the leak that came out regarding one of Nate Diaz's old fights? There's a class action lawsuit and something came out in a leak or something like that allegedly. I don't really know. I don't even know if any of this is real, to be honest. It could have been AI for all I know, but I saw it in one of those MMA clip channels, and it was basically Joe Silva, who was the matchmaker at the time, going back and forth with Dana White regarding Nate Diaz and saying, I purposely lowballed them, not so many, allegedly in not so many words. I'm paraphrasing. It was I purposely lowballed him and offered him 30 and 30 because I know that they would say no to the first offer anyway. I'll come back with 35, 35, 40, 40, 42, 42, 45, 45. And if they decline that, then I'll just offer him a really hard fight on the prelims for his last fight.
Huh.
Okay.
Why is that a scandal?
Knowing the inner
scandal.
Is that illegal?
I don't think it's illegal, but I'm just saying,
knowing good.
That's something we all. That is something we all always assumed anyway, right? His last fight on his contract when he didn't want to resign was for Khamzat Chimaev. He said that if he were to resign, he wouldn't have had to fight Khamzat Chimaev. He would have fought Conor McGregor again. They offered him more money, but he said no because he's a principled man. So, my point is, if we know that they know more than we know about some of these guys that we don't know a lot about, and then we know that, okay, this guy is a guy who just had a couple main event fights against older guys like Jussier Formiga in LFA. That's something the UFC can kind of control in a way, whether it be through agents, managers, or just directly. And then you see he had a nice matinee finish matchup, gets into the UFC on his debut, and who do they match him up against? Zalgas Sumagulov, a guy on a 3 or 4 fight losing streak at the time. That fight falls through. Who do they match him up on? with a guy on a 2-fight losing streak who just got knocked out. So it kind of tells you, like, okay, they want some people to be in with an easy route, and they want some people to be out with a harder route. You know what I mean? They're not giving Dennis Psycho Bondar. They're giving him a debutant, but somebody that they probably know about and know this is a favorable matchup, or no, let's just give him a guy coming off a knockout loss on a 2-fight losing streak, you know? Because it's a good calibration anyway. That's why I kind of just go with the marketing angle. I go, do they really want Dennis Bondar to send this kid back to the LFA, or do they want this kid that they've groomed to come in and get a win and be a new face and have Bondar go essentially 0-3 and kind of move him sort of out of the UFC?
Maybe. I don't think they think too deeply into the fighters at this level of the game. You know what I mean? I think they're just like, fuck it. Throw them together, see what happens, see who survives.
That's crazy because it's someone's job to. And if they're not doing it really well, sub me in, because I'll think like that if they need somebody to think like that. These fights. I'm thinking about it right now for free. So if whoever's job it is to keep the UFC stocked with all the good talent and to also the popular talent, meaning getting people who are, you know, a part of marketing angles that we're no longer pursuing, getting them out. Come on, guys. Like, I've been thinking about this all day long. If the guy whose job it is to do this and thinking about that, fire his ass. I'll do it for half what you pay him. So I don't even know what he makes, but cut it in half, give it to me. I'm not saying I won't also work part-time, but the job will get done is my point. The job will get done. So, yeah.
I'm going with Dennis Bondar as well. What?
Well,
Didn't Dan go with Dennis Bondar?
Yeah.
It's
So
Denny's.
as well.
His name is Denny's. America's Kitchen. What's that called? Denny's. America's. What is it?
All-American Grand Slam.
Yeah, I know about the Grand Slams.
So
it's about all I know.
Yeah. Farid Basharat, Taylor Lapilus, great fight, great matchup. Iron on iron here. Expect this one to be moved
Farid,
up.
Luke. Farid,
tomato. Farid Basharat's going to be a minus 198 favorite. Taylor Lapilus plus 164. Off the bat, you know, as much as I believe in the Basharat brothers, I love the value on a fighter like Taylor Lapilus coming in as an underdog. This could be a real good 1-2 punch combo over. It's actually a really good kind of 3-punch combo, right? Because what you're going to get is in this competitive matchup, you get Basharat at non-ridiculous odds like he's been in the past. And you get, so if you like him, you get him at great odds. And then if he wins, you get to instantly compound those winnings on Taylor Lapilus' next fight because he's a stud too. And he will be a bigger underdog probably in his next fight. And you can capitalize on him coming off of a loss. So I think that the younger, more tenacious on the ground fighter in Javid Basharat, out there with Jake Shields, with his brother, a technician, super good. I like him to get this win here. I want to see the line. Oh, I saw the line. It's minus 198. So yeah, like I said, I like this line for Basharat. I think this is fair. But that being said, if he can't get this fight to the ground, could be in for a aesthetic nightmare. Lapilus is going to land the better kicks, the better strikes. He's going to be more powerful in there. I think that if they're grading it on damage and this one remains on the feet, it gets given to Lapilus by decision, or maybe even can get a knockout. But if he can take the Frenchman down, which, as we know, the French do not contest wrestling in the Olympics, I think that the guy training with the backpack, Jake Shields, training with his brother, both of them having so much success, Basharat's going to get this one done, probably by decision with the grappling.
Yeah, I'll go with Basharat too. Taylor Lapilus seems like a great fighter, but I just don't think that this is the spot for him. He's beaten UFC caliber guys like Wilson Reyes, fought for the title, Nate Maness, UFC caliber guy, and some other decent competition in his day. But I just think Basharat is going to be a little too much for him. I'm going with Farid Basharat. Ferocious.
Basharats are always parlay pillars. That is one of my tenets. That's part of my constitution. Farid Basharat and his brother, both parlay pillars all the time. No exception here. And basically what you're saying, Alex, whereas like Lapilus, Papadopoulos, whatever his last name is, he's a good fighter in his own right, but he is a smidge behind Farid. If you look at the stats, just a little bit below, and the strikes landed, absorbed it's up by a heck of a lot. And even excuse me, even in the grappling, similar kind of dynamic here. Basharat just a little bit more. Plus, got to live up to that name. So the price that we're getting at is fair. It's correct. And I will enjoy carefree win.
Alex, earlier you were talking about all your great songs and getting copyright infringement. Speaking of copyright infringement, I want to share my screen and just show you guys.
What? Hello, Moto.
Do you see this?
Team Compton
Training Center.
So yeah, Brisbane, Australia. Party in the city of Compton. Team Compton Training Center. So yeah, I thought.
Now let me welcome everybody to the Wild Wild West.
So yeah, we got the first fight of the card. Last fight for us to break down for you guys here. Super early, January 13th. Get your popcorn, get your tickets, get your seats now because we have 3, 4, 5 a month to go. But the lines are out, and you can get it on DraftKings. You can get some premature action if you want. Lock them in now because a lot of these lines are going to move, and we know they will. So Tom Nolan, Big Train, taking on Nicolas Iron Motta. Now, we'll remember Nicolas Motta because he is somebody, came in as a slight favorite against Trey Ogden in his last fight. I was all over Trey Ogden. I was shouting from the rafters, Trey Ogden as an underdog. Trey Ogden, that's your dog pick. Trey Ogden. And what do you know? It gets snatched from my fucking hands. He dominates the entire fight. Ends up with minutes left in the fight, sinking in a choke. Motta isn't responsive enough for the ref. The ref stops it, but he instantly protests and says, I wasn't out. They replay the tape. He wasn't out. Gets ruled a no contest because of a premature stoppage. But if you watch the fight, you know that Motta lost every round, was losing round 3. There was only 2 minutes left in the fight. He was on his back. Could have easily, the guy could have hung out in half guard. He didn't get out of the choke. The ref stopped the fight. So basically, to me, that should be kind of like if a guy's getting ground and pounded and the ref stops and the guy's like, why'd you stop it? I'm fine. It's like, well, you were getting ground and pounded. It's like, I thought you weren't. You put yourself in that situation. Same thing with Motta. Why'd you stop it? Well, you were in a choke and you weren't responding, so I stopped it. Same as if you were getting ground and pounded. I'm telling you to defend yourself. You're not. You weren't defending yourself, were you? You were just sitting there, right? Cool. Fight's over. You're done. Get the fuck out of here. You were losing anyway. Stop crying. Motta, don't be a bitch bitching when you get beat this time because you're 7 years older than this guy. This kid out of Compton, Australia. He's going to be 6'3" to Motta's 5'9", 6-inch reach advantage. He's going to tower over him. He's going to kick him, punch him, knock his ass out. Nicolas Motta, you're done in this fight. And I'm going with Tom Nolan to make his debut. It just goes back to you piss the UFC off, you fuck up everybody's plans, you get dealt a bad hand. Now you're the first fight on the prelims against an undefeated upcoming guy who's going to be way younger, way taller, way longer, undefeated. And that's who you get, Nicolas Motta, because you tried to work the system by being a bitch bitching.
All the UFC can think about is how DraftKings coming out their neck that they let Dan win a fucking dumbass bet just because Nicolas Motta.
He didn't win. It just, oh yeah, that's true. He did win after that bet advanced, after it voided it. That's right. A bet that would have lost advanced because of that. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And that's why before I go, I'm turning my fire to devil's advocate Danny over here. I would love to hear what you have to say about your guy Nicolas Motta, because when this fight was being contested, you said Nicolas Motta had him right where he wanted him. He was going to finish him in that round and win on the judges' scorecard. You can unmute yourself and let us know what your thoughts are.
I'm sorry, my dog was barking before. I forgot it was on mute. I was being a good host. Yeah, you're right. I did win. It was justified. Luke's looking into all the angles that the UFC's looking at. How about this angle? The UFC said, yeah, we know you were winning, so let's get you back in there. You were the victorious fighter. Everyone knows it. Get in there. Here's an easy opponent. We prefer Christopher Nolan to Tom Nolan. I don't know who this guy is. Tom Nolan. Mr. Haven't faced any diversity in my professional fighting career. Tom Nolan. Yeah, my boy Nicolas Motta is going to work him just like he did your boy. I already forgot his name.
Trey Ogden.
Trey Ogden.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Nicolas Motta opened as a -230 favorite in his one win in recent memory against Cameron Van Camp. The first time they were booked at UFC Fight Night 211, and then it closed at -132. But then I guess it was rebooked for UFC, or no, sorry, it was It was booked and then it was rebooked. Sorry, all right, never mind. Either way, that was the one fight that he closed as a favorite and won, right? But then against Manuel Torres, opens this at plus 120, line gets steamed 14% to plus 175. Opens at minus 150 against Trey Ogden, line gets steamed a little bit, minus 5% in Trey Ogden's favor. Tom Nolan, again, just like the Manuel Torres fight, 15% line movement, opened at 120. Now we're at plus 160. Tom Nolan opened at minus 142. We're now at minus 192, minus 162, some books. So, I'm going with, what is it? Let me see. Yeah, Tom Nolan is minus 192 on DraftKings, the only book out. So I'm going with Tom Nolan, minus 192. Emphatically, love it. Nicholas Motta is getting dealt from the bottom of the deck here. So
I'm going with Tom Nolan Ryan. Danny.
Again, you're going with Motta, huh?
Going with Motta.
All right. Well, that will give us a conservative smattering of Triple B certified picks. We got Javid Basharat, Gabriel Santos over Weston
Farid
Wilson.
Basharat.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Farid Basharat. Farid Basharat over Taylor Lapilus. Gabriel Santos, huge favorite, unbettable. Marcus McGhee over Gaston Bolaños, but conservatively and cautiously. Dumont over Santos. Waldo Cortes-Acosta over Arlovski, and I think the best one, the best valued one, the one that I like the most at the top of the card, Manel Kape, Mr. Base God himself, top of the card. He's Triple B certified too. So Kape, Acosta, Dumont, McGhee, Santos, Basharat, they are all Triple B certified. If you're rolling with me, my picks top to bottom, going with Johnny Walker, Manel Kape, Ricky Simón, Macy Chiasson, Bruno Ferreira, Jim Miller, Waldo Cortes-Acosta, Norma Dumont, Marcus McGhee, Basil Hafez, Gabriel Santos, Felipe Bunes, Farid Basharat, and Tom Nolan. My favorite picks, Nolan, Basharat, Hafez, Dumont, Ferreira, Kape.
And give me the Johnny Walker when I come to town. Johnny Walker for me. Then we're going with Manel Kape. Then we're going with Mario Bautista, Ketlin Vieira, Bruno Ferreira, Gabriel Benitez, Andrei Arlovski. It's official. Andrei Arlovski, Norma Dumont, Marcus McGhee, Basil Hafez, Gabriel Santos, Dennis Bondar, Farid Basharat, and then Tom Nolan. Dan, what do you think about this card?
Excited for this card. This will be after a fast, if you will. So I'm going to be loving this card when it comes up. Have a great time. Magomed Ankalaev at the top, followed by Manel Kape, Ricky Simón, Macy Chiasson, Phil Hawes, Jim Miller, Waldo Cortes-Acosta, Norma Dumont, Marcus McGhee, Preston Parsons. Although I will say, Alex did not submit Basil Hafez. I was lying. That being said, I just wanted to clear my name there. Gabriel Santos, Dennis Bondar, Farid Basharat, and Nicholas Motta.
And with
I
Alex,
appreciate that, Dan. You're a man of honor.
You're a man of honor, Dan. Alex, with his last-minute switch to the big underdog, Andrei Arlovski, that will be certified Waldo Cortes-Acosta for the time being. But check back with us on the Fine Tooth Comb Club breakdown for this card, which will be January 8th when we return. We'll be back next week to do Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis for you guys nice and early when hopefully some odds come out for that, or else we'll just break down the card as we see it. But thank you so much for joining us. Get in the Patreon for the Fine Tooth Comb Club breakdown of UFC 296. Get in the Discord. I just actually posted in the Discord and said if you want to chat in live during the Comb Club episode, like this message. So I want to get some activity there. You can call in audio only. We'll be able to take your video away, and or you can take your video away, and then call in, ask questions, things of that nature on the Comb Club episode. We'll give that a try if you guys want. But thanks for supporting the show. When you subscribe, do the full year. You get a discount, and we need some money to gamble with. We lost on Joe Selecki. We lost on who was it? Fucking big boy, Sergey Pavlovich. So we lost some of the Patreon winnings that we were trying to parlay into $1 million, but fear not, we'll get more it will reoccur. We will bet more.
Oh, Luke, we have 2 responses. There are 2 people who are going to call in.
Well, they're not going to call in. I was asking if they're interested. Okay, we gotta, we gotta like, listen, chill. But anyway, listen. We will get that going though. I just wanted to do a little test run, see who's kind of active at this time of night when we record the show. But thank you guys for joining the show. Leave a like, comment if you don't mind, whatever. We want to know what you think about this card. It's very much a dialogue. Let us know what you think, where we're missing. If you have any information, blind spots, things we don't know about, let us know. And we'll see you in the Comb Club for UFC 296, Covington versus Edwards, fine-tooth comb review. We love you. Thanks a lot for joining the show. Take care.
And
Alex,
you're welcome.
On your perfect parlay yet again. Congratulations.
And you're welcome to anybody who won money off those picks on patreon.com/perfectparlaypursuit, where you are going to get the fire coming up. Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards, our final decisions. And I know I've made a couple of changes, boys.
Finally, comment whether you actually think Alex hit the perfect parlay or if you're siding with me. Please settle this dispute for us. Log on to the Patreon, subscribe, like, comment, and subscribe on this video as well. Love you guys.
At EuroUnderKing on Twitter.